Mexico is a globalist sycophant, just like every other country, just like the U.S. and everybody else. But in practice, they're pretty pragmatic. When you have a country where people need to work and they're living paycheck to paycheck, you would have caused mass riots. When you don't have the kind of social safety nets in the country like America does, like New Zealand does, like Australia does, where you can just pour billions of dollars worth of printed money into the economy, to get people to stand down and stay at home. When you don't have that, you will have rioting in the streets if you tell people they can't work and feed their families. And
Yeah.
so I think there's a practical nature to Mexico that I absolutely love. There's two other things about Mexico that make it quite unique in the way that they handled COVID and freedom and everything else. One is the strength of the cartels here is pretty impressive. And there are a couple of upsides to the strength of the cartels in Mexico. And people don't like to hear this, but I live here and I know what this is like. There are a couple of upsides to the cartels. One is they act as a very powerful counterbalance to governmental power. So the government is not all powerful here. And so they act as a counterbalance to each other. The government keeps the cartels in check. The cartel keeps the government in check. And I don't know if you heard, but during the election cycle this year in Mexico, there were 37 candidates that were killed by the cartels.
Yep.
Okay. So the reality is that the cartels are very, very powerful. And they're not just involved in drugs. They're involved in every single business enterprise, major business enterprise in this country. So they act as a counterbalance to totalitarian rule by the government. The other benefit of the cartel, sorry to interrupt, Chris.
Real quick, I just want to say, so that sounds like it's similar to the way the legislative branch and the executive branch are supposed to operate in America. Sounds very similar.
Very similar, but it doesn't always work that way in the United States. But the second,
that's what I'm saying. The way it's supposed to
it's
operate.
intended to work, right? It's intended to be a counterbalance. The second big thing about the cartels that most people don't pay attention to is that cash is king, queen, and bishop in this country. Cash still rules the roost in Mexico. There are many, many, many businesses that will only accept cash. They do not accept card. Cash is everywhere here, right? And that's never going to change because the cartels largely operate in cash. So cash, this is never going to be a digital first. Well, at least in my lifetime. Anyway, this country is not going to become a CBDC is not going to take over here. Cash is not going to go away out of this economy anytime soon, and that's largely thanks to the cartels. So these are a couple of the benefits of having the cartels be so powerful that the vast majority of the rest of the world doesn't actually think of as benefits, but I see them on the ground. I see the benefits of these things in Mexico because I live here.